Well, the RFU have recently announced that the community season will start a little bit later this season because of the hard grounds, particularly in the South and Midlands. Not too bad in Cumbria because we've had some teams playing friendlies in preparation. One of those has been Aspatria. They've had two so far. I'm joined by the coach, Glen Weightman. Glen, have they gone well as far as you're concerned as the new head coach?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously I've only been sort of with the club for 6 weeks, but I was keen to see what match day looked like and sort of try and understand and learn a bit more about my players. And I think it's been a real positive. I know some people maybe don't measure results much with pre-season, but I think winning's a habit, and sooner you can get winning, the better. But so yeah, I think to go from a sort of narrow loss at home to Tarleton to play, a mixed Penrith side on the road, but in their own backyard on the 4G pitch that they used to, it was a real positive. And I think for me as the coach, it's been difficult because I've had to play a bit, and you don't get to see everything from the sideline. But I think it's definitely been a good experience because I'm starting to understand who's who and what each player can bring to the team.
Absolutely. And you say you had to play him, and I think you went, what, did you go about 40 yards for a try?
Not quite. I think I just tapped it down in the in-goal area.
Yeah.
I don't think I've been 40 yards in my life, never mind at 37 years old.
Yeah. But do you think you'll be playing regularly this season or not?
So I've been quite tactful. I've never ever said I'm retired because I love the game, and I always, when I'm on the sideline, I want to be involved, I want to be playing. But I do recognise that one of the reasons for taking this opportunity was to kind of use it as a transitional period.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it's been difficult because we've not got the biggest squad, and there is quite a heavy reliance on some rugby league lads, and we do, as I'm finding out, there's a lot of shift workers, making it difficult to get that consistent sort of selection. And I think because I'm kind of a process or strategy driven type coach, it's important to me that starts to look as close as I want it to look at as early as possible. Mm-hmm. And if we're putting people in certain positions that don't understand it can clog it all up, and people start to distrust the process and not really buy into it. And I think there's just the last couple of weeks where we've had a real shortage of backs in certain positions. It's just meant that it's made more sense for me to play than not to play. But yeah, I've enjoyed playing as well, so I can't hide that fact. But I am missing out on the early coaching experience that I need, and the learning that I could do from the sideline. But it is what it is. My intention is not to play every week. It's going to be on a needs sort of must basis. The problem at the start of the season will be whether or not we can get the availability to allow that consistent. Because one of the things, I'll be honest, I seen from the outside looking in was wholesale changes in the backline all last year, and I don't doubt that wasn't with good reason. I'm certainly not challenging those before me. I'm really not. It's just as a back, I think chemistry is massive, and understanding what each player does. Your half backs and your centre pairings. So if I can, I'm going to try and get it as consistent as possible, but I recognise I'm always going to be held to ransom by working and family and other commitments, which is just the nature of the beast at this level. But I'll do I'll have best endeavours, if you know what I mean, to try and get those connections cemented as early as possible.
You said you haven't got the biggest squad. Have you got players you haven't seen yet, or there's still players that that will be coming into the squad?
So I'm kind of working on the basis that if I've not seen you, you don't exist. But but I am constantly reminded that there's X, Y, and Z to come in, which is great, and it's nice to have. But I think there's definitely a nucleus. There's a nucleus of very capable players that train regularly, they're available regularly, and they've been in and around the county squad with good reason. I think we need more. Where they come from, I'm not quite sure. That's part of the journey that I'm on. but it has to be sustainable, and any decisions we make can't be knee jerk, and we can't compromise the culture, which is the thing I'm prioritising. But I think there's definitely enough there for now, and I've seen enough quality to not be too concerned. But I think my thing is, John, in 12 months' time, does it look different to what it looks now? And that's my hope. That's what I strive for.
Yeah, it must have been disappointing a couple of years ago when Aspatria dropped the second. They haven't got a second team now. That's surely
right.
got to be a priority at the club, hasn't it? Really.
It has, and one of the things that they've acknowledged is that, and Jack Clegg's really pushing to get it up and running again. I think it's important that they don't bite off more than they can chew, and I think the one thing Jack's kind of trying to do is get a fixture in per month, and that means that some of the lads who retired that didn't want to play week in, week out, it might be more appealing to those. I think when we get into October, I'm envisaging we've got 25 guys and I can only pick 20, so those 5 that miss out, some veterans will get game time in that team, and I think it'll only help all aspects. You're right. It's an amateur rugby club, so the social side's every bit as important as the playing, and and I think one benefits the other, I hope that Jack can get that up and running as he's plans to do, and hopefully that can be a real bonus for the club.
Yeah, very good. Now then, the RFU have said that the season's going to be put back. That might not happen in Cumbria, because I think the first week in September was due to be county cup matches. That could still take place, I think, couldn't it?
That's right. So, look, I'm not going to change the world overnight, but I just think it's very short-sighted. I don't think it's necessary to have done what they've done with the North in particular, especially in Cumbria.
Yeah,
but once that decision's been made, it feels like it's there's no turning back, and it sounds to me like they're hell bent on it starting on from the 21st onwards. So the irony of it is, in Cumbria, where clubs are fine and some of them are saying the pitch is in the best condition it's ever been in, you're going to see those fixtures, the 12th of September and the 19th of September, those dates in the diary will be fulfilled by friendlies and or cup games, just as the 5th was, like you said. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but the fact they did caveat the announcement by saying, coaches and referees' discretion, so you can play friendlies, cup games and train. I'm certainly treating it like we'll be playing on those dates. I think the first move we made was with Wigton. We collectively decided, look, the reality is the league will start on the 26th. That's the game. That's the date that was meant to be a free weekend in our calendar, and it was the date that Wigton had agreed with us to play the cup game. So the smart thing to do was to look at bringing it a week forward, so that we're not disrupting. So that, because when the league takes precedence, right, the next free weekend will be taken by the cup game, and then all of a sudden you're into a backlog and lads aren't getting a week off, and it just seemed like too good of an opportunity not to pull forward and have a competitive game prior to the league starting. So, I think it's a bit short-sighted for the Cumbria area. There are a few doing this, but I'm not surprised. And I think those weeks will be utilised for clubs to play more games of rugby, and try and limit the disruption it's caused to probably sponsors and everything else that comes with it, grassroots rugby. So we'll certainly be trying to play games, John, and I think we're geared up for the league, expecting the league to be announced to start on the 26th of September.
What about, you've had 2 friendlies, have you got any more planned and fixed in the calendar?
We have. We've got a week off this week. The lads are recovering after 2 tough ones, and it being early doors. And then we go to Kirby Lonsdale next Friday, so that'll be an interesting one. A bit of a road trip, and obviously those guys have won the league we're now in last season, so it'll be a good test. And yes, Kirby Lonsdale, it's always tough up there, right? So that's the next one we've got in the diary, and obviously the cup game on the 19th. But I would like to try and get something to fill in that 2-week gap. As well, but we're still hunting around at the minute, trying to find something that suits.
Right. Glenn, brilliant. Thanks very much for that. But I can't let you go without a word on the cricket.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Are you still in with a chance?
Uh,
I'm talking about
theoretically,
Keswick here for anybody who's listening. Keswick,
yeah, yeah, theoretically, but the last 2 weeks has hurt us. Yeah, it's hurt us. Cockermouth, cream always rises, doesn't it? And they've done it before, and they're a good side. And if you give them a sniff like we have, they'll take it.
yeah.
And look, all we can do now is win the last 3 games and hope that something catches them out. There's every. I think Cockermouth would respect the fact of me saying that there's every chance, someone could beat them, like Millham or Wigton.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
what about Wigton? What about Wigton in recent weeks?
flying. Yeah, they're flying, and it just shows. I think it's they come here that cricket league's more competitive than people give it credit for at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, the issue Keswick have is the Keswick. We've got another loss in us, so we've got to be on our mettle and not switch off and just take it game at a time and train session by train session and just see what happens, John. You never know, but yeah, we've not done ourselves any favours.
Right, Glenn, lovely to talk to you. All the very best, and for both codes, and all the very best for your new role as head coach.
Cheers, John. Appreciate it.